Hi everybody, in this video we are going to discuss about the special modes of reproduction. Under that, importance of apomixis. Importance of apomixis. We already studied what do you mean by apomixis. Seeds formed without fertilization. Seeds formed without fertilization. Which means it will be carrying the same characteristics from one generation to another generation. That's what is important when we talk about the apomixis. So what is the importance of apomixis for the farmers? For the farmers, we are going to discuss now in this topic. Now if you are seeing here, cultivation of hybrid varieties of several of our food and vegetable crops has tremendously increased the productivity. So because of the hybrid varieties, what increased? Several of our food and vegetable crops have increased tremendously and increase the productivity, which led to the increase in the productivity. So the productivity increased because of what? More number of hybrid varieties. Now the question is what are hybrid varieties? Hybrid varieties, it is simply means that the crop that is having the best characteristics that are needed. The desired characteristics that are needed will be present in that particular crop. Such crops are called as what? Hybrid varieties. So because of the production of more hybrid varieties, it has led to the formation of what? Several food crops and also vegetable crops have increased, and because of that more productivity we are seeing nowadays. Now here, if you are looking at the hybrid, now let us say that there are two plants. Okay, if there are two plants which are there cultivated and with different characteristics, Now here are two plants, two crops. Now this is having different characteristics and this plant is having different characteristics. But now you want those characteristics which are there in this plant and in this plant to be present in one crop. So what you will do when we are crossing these two? Now the characteristics of this plant and this plant, let us say A and B. Okay, A and B. The characteristic A is not present in the plant B. The characteristic B is not present in the plant A. But when these two are crossed, you are getting one crop. Which is having both the characteristics now. Now A and B are present in this particular crop. So this we are calling it as what now? The hybrid. We are calling it as the hybrid. Okay, hybrid. Now we got a hybrid with desired characteristics. Now, fine. When we get this particular hybrid, is it possible to produce the same type of crop year after year? That is not possible. See here, there are some problems. Some problems with the hybrids that we produce. Okay, with the hybrid varieties, there are some problems. What are those problems? Hybrids have to be produced every year. Every year we have to produce the hybrids. Why we have to produce the hybrids every year? It is because the progeny, now we are calling, let us call this as what? The offspring or progeny we are calling. This progeny fails to maintain hybrid characteristics. Remember that. Now we are calling this as the hybrid. Otherwise, in simple terms, what we call it as initially, we will be calling it as the progeny. So this progeny, when you take the seeds of this plant, and plant it and sow it, when you are sowing these seeds of this plant, so called as the hybrid, it will not produce the same characteristics that you have brought into this by crossing these two plants. These same characteristics will not be there present in the next generation produced from this progeny. Why? It's all because it undergoes what? Segregation. Very important point, and this concept is very important here. See here, progeny fails to maintain hybrid characteristics. Progeny means this one. When this is ready to produce the seeds, it will not maintain the same characteristics. There is no chance or may not be possible to have the same characteristics when it is bearing the seeds or fruits containing the seeds. Those seeds will not have the same characteristics. It's all because of what? It is because it fails to maintain what? The segregation. Okay, due to segregation. Progeny fails to maintain hybrid characters due to what? Segregation. So because of segregation, it is not possible for the progeny to maintain hybrid characteristics in year after year. So that's why what we said, we have to produce the hybrids every year with the desired characteristics. So that is a long process. That is a long process in which the farmers, we have to spend lot of money. They have to spend a lot of money. So hybrids are costly. Hybrids are costly and too expensive for the farmers. So if they have to produce year after year, it is very hard for them. It is very hard for them to produce the hybrid character containing seeds, and it will be very costly and expensive for the farmers. So here, let us make it very clear to understand how the segregation is taking place. Now see here, we have taken the progeny. Okay, we have taken the progeny. We said that if this is the plant, okay, if this is the plant and crossed with another plant, okay, crossed with another plant, here there are two plants. What we said, we have got a hybrid variety. Okay, let us say that this is the hybrid variety. Okay, this is the hybrid variety. Now this hybrid variety, let us take it as an example, quoting that this plant is bearing the fruits which are large. Okay, let me say this plant is bearing the fruits. Okay, this plant is bearing the fruits which are large and which are tasty. Okay, which are large and tasty. Now the fruits are what? Large and tasty of this particular plant. Now take this plant. Now this plant only will be called as what now? The hybrid. We are calling it as the hybrid. And this is otherwise, because it is brought from these two plants, crossing these two plants, we are calling this as what? Actually progeny. Progeny means what? The new generation, next generation of the parents. These two are the parents, and this is the generation, new generation. We are calling it as progeny. Because it is having the desired characteristics, now what we are calling it as hybrid. What are those desired characteristics? We said it is having the characteristics to bear the fruits which are large and tasty. Now the question is what? Will this plant maintain the same characteristics, or will it carry these characteristics or transfer the characteristics to the next generation in the same way? Now this plant, compulsorily it has to be crossed with any other same type of plant. Now we are taking another plant here. Okay, when we take this plant, let us say now this plant, okay, this plant is bearing the small fruit. Okay, it is bearing small. Okay, it is bearing. We are talking about the characteristic of fruits, small and tasteless fruit. Okay, tasteless fruit it is bearing, for example. Okay, it is bearing small and tasteless fruit. Now naturally what happens? Pollination will be taking place. If the cross pollination is taking place between these two plants, then what will be the characteristics? Of their progeny now? Now this is the progeny of these two plants now. Okay, this is the progeny of these two plants now. This we call it as what? The progeny. Okay, we are calling this as the progeny. This is the hybrid, let us say. But this hybrid, will it maintain the same characteristics as that of this plant? No. Why? Because this plant will be carrying half of the characteristics, and this plant will be transferring half of the characteristics to this plant. Which means there are chances that this plant may be bearing, now I am showing here, may be bearing the large fruits. Okay, it will be bearing large fruits, but they may be tasteless now. So here, this is the concept we have to keep in mind. So what happened here? There is segregation of what? Characteristics. Okay, because of what we said, the progeny fails to maintain the hybrid characteristics. Now this is the progeny of these two parents. So here this progeny failed to maintain what? The hybrid characteristics. The desired characteristics that we want are not seen in this now. Why? Because it is crossed with another plant which is bearing small and tasteless fruits. So here, what happened here now? It is getting the fruits, or it is bearing the fruits which are large, but they are tasteless. This characteristic which is tasteless is from another plant. So both the characteristics are now there here present in the hybrid. So what happened here is segregation of characteristics. This plant will give only half of the characteristics. Here also it is transferring half of the characteristics. That's why it is the progeny fails to maintain what? The hybrid characteristics. Hybrid characteristics. So here is the hybrid. Let us say that this is the hybrid with the desired characteristics that you want. And you don't want this hybrid to be crossed with this naturally in the environment, in the fields. So what can be done now? You want only these characteristics that should be transferred from one generation to another generation. How is it possible? How is it possible? It is only through what? The special mode of reproduction. It is only through special mode of reproduction. That is what? Apomixis. Apomixis. So what do you mean by apomixis? Apomixis means the seeds which are formed without fertilization. The seeds which are formed without fertilization. Here what happened? Fertilization occurred. So it is carrying the characteristics of both the parents. If it is forming a new plant here, if it is forming a new plant here it is carrying the characteristics. This plant will be carrying the characteristics of what? Both the parents. But here you want only the characteristics of this parent, which we so called like as what? Hybrid. You want only these characteristics which is this plant, because this plant is bearing what? Large and tasty fruits. You want only these characteristics. So what can be done? The simple thing is that make this plant, okay, just change this plant into an apomix. Make this plant into an apomix. Now we are going to make this plant into apomix. What do you mean by? If it is made into apomix, then the same characteristics will be carried to the next generation. What is this apomix again? What do you mean by this? The plant which is showing what? Apomixis process. Means, simple sense, make this plant to produce the seeds. Make this hybrid variety to produce the seeds without fertilization. So we have to make this particular plant. Okay, we have to make this plant as an to undergo apomixis. Apomixis means what? To produce, okay, to produce seeds without fertilization. So if it is made to produce the seeds without fertilization, then it is easy for this plant to produce the same seeds in the next generation with the same characteristics. So the seeds that are collected from this plant will be producing what? Having the characteristics of what? To produce fruits which are large and tasty. So that is possible when you make this particular plant as an apomix. If we are making this plant as an apomix, this hybrid as an apomix. Apomix means what? If we are making this plant to produce the seeds without fertilization, then the farmers will be having a chance to produce the seeds of their own year after year and can use them in the farms or in the fields. They can easily, they don't need to go for again that hard process of pollination, because it is hybrids have to be produced year after year. It is not so. The farmers can produce their own seeds and use them for the next year. Okay, because the characteristics are there inbuilt. They did not change. So the same characteristics will be transferred to the next generation. And that is one advantage for the farmer. And at the same time, it is not an expensive process now. It is not a costly process which they have to spend a lot of money. Okay, it is not an expensive process. Once we make the hybrid into an apomix, in which it will be producing the seeds without fertilization, having the same characteristics. So because of the importance of apomixis in seed industry, okay, because of the importance of apomixis in seed industry, in various parts of the world, active research is going on. Okay, in various parts of the world, active research is going on to understand the genetics of apomixis. To understand the genetics of apomixis means what? To understand how the seeds are formed without fertilization. Which gene is important for apomixis process? Which gene is important for apomixis process? So, in order to identify that, there is active research is going on, okay, in various parts of the world, okay, to understand which gene is important for apomixis. So, once they understand the gene that is responsible for apomixis, what they are trying to do, they are keeping lot of efforts are being made to transfer the apomictic genes into the hybrid varieties. What they are doing, once they identify the gene which is responsible for apomixis, means what? Gene which is responsible for formation of seeds without fertilization, and that gene they wanted to transfer that. Efforts are made to transfer that gene into the hybrid varieties. So here, let us imagine, here is one gene, okay, here is the gene that is responsible for what? Apomixis. So now they started to understand about the gene responsible for what? Apomixis. Now what is their aim now? They wanted to introduce this particular gene into the hybrid varieties. So here is a hybrid variety. Okay, here is a hybrid variety we say. And this hybrid variety is what? It is bearing large fruit. Which are tasty. Large fruits and tasty fruit. Okay, the size of the fruit is large and the fruit taste is very sweet. Tasty fruit we are saying. So these are the characteristics of this hybrid variety. Okay, these are the characteristics of the hybrid variety. So what is the aim now? These characteristics should be there present in the carried to the next generation also. How is it possible? It is not possible through cross pollination that occurs naturally in the environment. So what they wanted to make now? They wanted to see that this hybrid variety will be producing the seeds without fertilization. They want this particular hybrid variety to produce the seeds without fertilization. But to produce the seeds without fertilization, compulsorily there will be a gene responsible for that characteristic to produce the seeds without fertilization. So in many laboratories in different parts of the world, they are trying to understand the genetics of apomixis, how some plants are able to produce the seeds without fertilization. And once they identify the gene responsible for this, they wanted to introduce this gene into the plant hybrid variety, so that this hybrid variety will be producing the seeds with the same characteristics. Means what? Each time this plant produces the seeds, compulsorily it will be producing the seeds which are coding for large size, fruits which will be coding for large size, and which will be tasty for many generations. So these are some points that we have to keep in mind when we talk about the importance of apomixis. So here, let us make it, okay, in very simple. Let us try to understand that in many parts of the world, active research is going on to understand the genetics of apomixis. Means what? Which gene is responsible to produce the seeds without fertilization. If fertilization occurs, new characteristics will be seen. They don't want new characteristics. They want the same characteristics to be carried to the next generation. That is what? Large fruit and tasty fruit. So they are trying to identify the gene which is responsible for apomixis. And they wanted to introduce that gene into the hybrid variety, so that from then on, that hybrid variety will be producing the seeds without fertilization, carrying the same characteristics to the next generation. These are the points that we have to keep in mind when we discuss about the importance of apomixis. Thank you.